Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to really try and cut through some jargon.
Yeah, jargon that can make projects seem, well, more complicated than they maybe need to be.
Exactly. We're looking at what shapes your projects, the stuff inside your organization and the stuff outside.
Right. And if you've ever wondered, why one project just clicks and another hits every roadblock.
This should help clear things up. Our mission today, to really get a handle on two key concepts.
Organizational process assets, OPAs, and enterprise environmental factors, or EEFs.
Getting this distinction down is honestly a bit of a superpower for understanding projects.
It really is. So OPAs first, think internal.
Yeah.
Things your company already has, things it uses.
Okay, internal assets. So these are things the project team can actually use and maybe even change.
Generally, yes. They're specific to your organization, and that's key. They're usually under your influence, if not direct control. Using them well, that's a big advantage.
Okay, so give me some examples. What kind of internal stuff are we talking about?
Well, think about the standard ways you run projects. Your documented processes, maybe specific methodologies you follow.
Right, the company playbook, sort of.
Exactly. And templates, for project plans, status reports, risk logs.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got guidelines, checklists, maybe for quality checks. And really valuable stuff like lessons learned from past projects.
Ah, the lessons learned database. Always meaning to check that.
Yeah, but also knowledge repositories, historical information, old project files, even your configuration management systems.
So all the accumulated wisdom and tools.
Pretty much. A good way to remember it is our past assets, stuff you've built up internally.
Our past assets. Okay, I like that. Makes sense. So that's OPA. What about the other side? EEFs.
Right. EEFs,
Mm-hmm.
enterprise environmental factors. Now, these are different. These are conditions that impact the project.
Okay.
But crucially, they're largely not under the control of the project team.
Ah, so this is the stuff we just have to deal with. The context.
Precisely. It can be internal to the organization, like its structure, or external, like market trends. Understanding them is vital for, well, navigating reality.
Gotcha. So examples here would be...
Think big picture first. Your company's organizational structure is a hierarchical matrix that affects things. Governance rules.
Okay.
Then outside the company, market conditions or competitors doing something new, legal and regulatory stuff, huge. Industry standards you have to follow.
Right, like GDPR, safety regulations. Can't ignore those.
Exactly. Also, the physical infrastructure available, IT infrastructure, HR policies, who you can hire, how promotions work, even the project management software tools available generally.
Wow, okay, that's a much broader category.
It is. Think external environment factors, the world your project lives in.
External environment factors, got it. So let's crystallize the difference then. OPA versus EEF.
The biggest one is control. OPAs, you generally have some influence. You can update them, refine them based on experience.
Right, like improving a template after using it.
Exactly. EEFs, mostly outside your control. You adapt to them.
Okay, control is key. What else?
Well, OPAs evolve based on what the organization learns and does. They're dynamic, hopefully improving.
Uh-huh.
EEFs are often more stable, but they can change, sometimes suddenly, because of outside forces, think a new law or a market crash.
Right, less predictable maybe. And how do we use this knowledge?
OPAs get used constantly in almost every process, definitely planning and executing. They're your tools, your guides.
Your internal toolkit.
Yes. EEFs are critical up front when you're defining the project, tailoring your approach. You need to know the landscape before you start building.
Makes sense. You need to know the rules of the game and the weather conditions.
That's a great analogy. And finally, who creates them? OPAs are built by the organization itself.
Our past assets?
Yep. EEFs come from, well, the environment, the organization's context, the industry, the government, the market.
The wider world. Okay, I can see how separating these two helps avoid that feeling of being overwhelmed by everything that affects a project.
Absolutely. Knowing what's in your toolbox versus what's just the terrain helps you strategize much more effectively. It helps explain why some things are challenging.
It really does. So here's something for you, the listener, to think about.
Yeah, consider a project you know well, maybe one you worked on recently.
Can you identify specific OPAs, internal things, templates, processes that really helped you move forward?
And conversely, can you pinpoint any EEFs, market shifts, regulations, maybe company politics that created real hurdles?
How might seeing that distinction earlier have changed how you approached things or just how you understood what was happening?
Something to chew on. It's a fundamental part of understanding the project world.
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.